Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Bared Soul. I'm Steve Young.
I'm Tishni Zwicky.
And I'm Rick Stutler. How are you?
Today, we would like to talk to you about a topic that's going on in the current events around the world, the war in Ukraine. And I would like to take it, starting off with Rick and Tish, to have your thoughts to open it up.
You know what? I'm going to speak from an empath's perspective for a moment. If that's all right with you guys.
It's fine.
As empaths, we're feeling the emotions of others, right? So first I want to recognize other empaths out there that are feeling the weight of the war in Ukraine. So if you're watching the news or you're getting all these devastating news stories, I'm with you. It is very heavy. I remind myself, sometimes I have to just shut the news off because it feels so heavy. But then I remind myself too that this is also part of the experience of being a human being and being on this earth is these unfortunate things, but that is so diminished by what is going on. There's a war and people are dying and people are running for safety. They are leaving their homes. I think about the animals and the utter devastation, and it is incredibly heavy on the heart. One of the things that I like to do is to pray for Ukraine. Sometimes I just don't know what else to do. I pray for Ukraine. I pray for, the people, the soldiers, as well as I also pray for the Russian soldiers and for Putin to find that place within him that is of love, because I just believe that everybody was born with the grace of God, and that for whatever reason he has gotten away from that throughout his lifetime. So, but things like that are things that help me feeling the weight of the war. I don't know if you guys...
Yeah, when I look at it from the perspective of somebody who is just living in the country, going about their daily life, and that gets completely uprooted beyond their control to where everything becomes uncertain on a daily basis. I mean, taking steps outside, you don't know what's going to happen. So walking through that thought process as a human being, thinking about all the things that they didn't have to worry about before and now have to worry about, and the applied pressure that I can feel in that energy, and how compassionate it is on my part and everybody else's part to sit there and really feel into that and wish that it was different, but also send love and energy in the ways that we can into those situations for those people.
Absolutely. It's a very heavy thing considering we're all part of that same light. We're all created from that light, and whatever happens to them, folks, happens to us. Not in the sense of we're not losing our homes, we're not losing food, shelter, security, safety. We're losing a part of our soul here. To me, this is all just mind-boggling. Why this is occurring, why this is happening. We don't have the answers for that. We're not Vladimir Putin. However, we're all human beings. We all have that connection. And it's just a very, very sad thing that they have to go through this. And the other day, I'm walking in the grocery store just looking around thinking how blessed we are that we don't have that going on here. And hopefully it never will go on here. But through prayer, through intention, we can send goodwill over there. We can send goodwill to Vladimir Putin. We can do things, folks. We don't have to go to war. War is something that nobody wins. All it is just somebody trying to control other people. And over here, we don't do that. It's just a sad state of affairs, and I wish it wasn't going on. But what we can do, we can send prayers. We can send goodwill.
Well, and I think the energy of intention with prayers, or just the energy that is going out of, when I pull back and look at it, there's a lot of anguish that is being sent to the people of Ukraine, with bits of I think most of us, the vast majority of us, can feel that strength of President Zelensky and his strength. And when we're feeling into his strength of sending that to the people, which they already have, right? Just watching their fortitude and what they're going through, and determined that they're going to hold on to the country. And for me, shifting over from a place of sorrow and pain to a place of strength and love and devotion, and rebuilding, the strength of rebuilding these towns and cities that have been destroyed, or families rebuilding. And so I hope I'm making sense here, but of shifting the energy from one that is uncomfortable as an empath over to one of love, and sending that back towards them, that love, the strength, the determination for people going forward.
Yeah, and I think that it goes back to the idea of the highs and lows, and the yin and the yang, as far as the energy goes, and the contrast that we experience in life, the darkness and then the light that's within us. So while much of this contrast that happens to our lives is beyond our control, and we don't feel like it's warranted, we do get to decide how we're going to respond to it. The experiences that each one of these people are going to have in their lives as a result of what's happening over there is only going to make them stronger, should they choose to utilize that contrast in a positive way for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also nothing wrong with feeling those emotions as they're happening, and going through the downward dips of that emotional energy, but also looking to moving forward from where they are. And I know survival plays into the picture a lot here, where there might not be a sense of just looking forward to better times, but just getting through what they're going through right now.
And hopefully there'll be some kind of conclusion to this where it benefits everybody, not just one person's dream. Okay, I mean, one person's dream has affected millions and millions and millions of people in so many ways. It's just something you kind of hope their higher angels will kick in and resolve this in somebody's mind or their minds. But it seems like all we can do right now, other than prayer and sending good intentions, is just watch how all this unfolds.
And whatever donations that kind
Yeah,
of thing.
that kind of thing too.
And I think there's the collective response to the actions of one specific person or a group of people that can cause the collective to say, you know what, this isn't right, or we feel like things should be a different way going forward. And more people can rise up collectively, even just energetically, and say, now that we've experienced this, we don't ever want to experience this again. What can we do about it? And start taking those steps.
It's one of the things that watching the people come together in Ukraine, but globally, talking about the collective, because I believe the more and more that we are shifting spiritually, we do want to be in a place that is peaceful and loving and community. So yeah, I see the collective is.
And you see you can see the shifts just all around. If you've seen any news snippets, you could see, in airports, I stand with Ukraine, banners and pictures, and people donating to not only charities but to families. And I read something about Airbnbs being booked in Ukraine for people.
You know what, I think that's even in the different countries too.
Yeah. So outside, so that people could leave and have a place to stay. And it's just
It just gives me chills.
the creative thought process that happens when you're no longer bound to that security of the daily life, and it's expanded open and saying, what can I do to help right now? What sort of action can I take or support can I give that's beyond the normal circumstances, because that's what's required right now.
And thinking about the different countries too that are taking in so many of these refugees, feeling that power of community, of that collective, has been hopeful. A little ray of light in what otherwise is so heavy and almost hard to watch.
Yeah, to have that sense of anybody on the outside of Ukraine saying, come on over to our place, we'll have a place for you to stay, we'll give you food, we'll give you whatever you need. It's humanity at its essence, just
Yeah.
helping out humanity.
That's the beauty of the human condition. We can help each other. It don't always have to be one way or the other. We can help each other through these avenues. It's just a beautiful thing. I mean, people do come together. They can come together. They don't always have to be on the opposite side. It's time to rein everybody in collectively to do whatever we can to. I mean, here in Ohio, the governor opened up Ohio basically to the Ukrainian people, saying you're welcome here. That's a beautiful thing. We have too much of this, it's us against them. No, it isn't. It's all of us together to do what we can.
You know, it's a bittersweet flavoring that it takes a contrasting experience like this to then strengthen the coming together of humanity. But it, in a sense, sometimes it helps us become reminded that we are all one, that we are all connected, and that love is going to make things expand farther than where they are. So for these bad things to happen, it creates the contrast that reminds us that we are all here for each other in those instances that we aren't necessarily thinking about it on a daily basis. I think a lot of times we're in a comfort zone, we're feeling secure, and we're covering for our own.
And I just want to throw this out here too. This may be appropriate, it might not be. A lot of times we think, well, that can't happen here. Certainly, yes, it can happen here. These are different days, folks. This isn't 1945 anymore. So we all need to be aware that, yeah, you know, collectively we can do things to help other people. I never think violence is a good way to handle anything. Somebody wins.
I think there's something to be said, and I'll probably say that I'll contend with the idea for the people who believe that thoughts and prayers aren't helping at all, and that that's just a shallow response. If there's intention and energy behind the thoughts and prayers, that is life-changing. If you've ever hugged somebody and felt the connection between you, the energy flowing, if you've ever expressed that you love somebody and you can feel that energy flowing, there's emotion and there's an intention behind that energy, and that energy does do things.
And collectively, with the millions of people rising up, sending that love, that strength, the healing, the rebuilding, whatever that may be, the victory for Ukraine, it matters. I wanted to throw in too, I saw a video recently where there's also, I think it's Poland, where they are going and taking a lot of the pets or animals that they're finding in Ukraine, and that just melts my heart too, because we have, it's not just human beings that are suffering during this time.
Absolutely. I saw that article too, and it really touched me. It's like, what a beautiful thing. You know, it's just, we all inhabit this planet together. We're all in it together.
And seeing that contrast between the darker aspects of humanity and the lighter aspects of humanity. And I'm reminded that good will prevail. Unfortunately, it's how much of this are the people going to have to endure or suffer through or lose to get to that victory. And I know that that word almost even feels shallow as I say it because it's different for different people. But knowing that, really feeling it within me that Ukraine will prevail here. They have the love on their side. They have the collective cheering them on and again sending that love energy.
Not only that, a quote came to my mind, I think it was from John F. Kennedy. And I can't quote it word for word, but the basis of it is all problems are created by man, so they can be solved by man. It just really stuck out in my mind, and I think it's appropriate for what's going on now. Whatever was created can be uncreated. So,
And I'm going to invoke A Course in Miracles. Whatever is made, right,
Yeah.
can be unmade.
yes.
And to that, I do believe in the idea that the solution cannot be found in the same frequency as the problem. So it takes getting to a different place of energy and in thought process and in vibration to find that solution. There's always a solution when there's a problem because you have the yin and yang automatically. However, the energy behind the problem has to be shifted towards focusing on the solution.
And that gets back to the energy, the intentions, right? That if we're sending more angst or concern, we're actually piling on. And again, I feel that way with Putin, that there's all this energy, by and large, that is unpleasant energy being sent to him, and I completely understand that. I've done that myself. And then it's, you know what, trying to reach to his higher self, to his soul. Because I know for myself, if somebody were to pile on and say all these horrible things about me, I'm probably going to want to fight harder. Whereas if somebody is trying to reach me through a place of love, I'm more apt to listen, to be open. And so again, collectively as a community, just my suggestion is whatever your mind would know what to do and how to what words would come up for you to try to reach Putin's soul. And I can hear it now, people saying he doesn't have a soul. And I can't help but think that somebody, when he was an infant, somebody must have at one point smiled upon his beautiful baby self, right? Again, something that went astray. And I don't know the man, obviously. Maybe nobody smiled upon him. But I get the feeling that somebody did, which means there's something in there. And if we can touch that place of light with him, even if it's just a little flicker, there's nothing that the collective, I feel, can't do. So the more that we can rise to meeting his higher self or his soul, to get through the ego aspects of himself, to be able to see what he's doing, how detrimental this is for himself, for his people, as well as obviously for the people of Ukraine.
I guess in general, I mean, what we could think of is, why don't we all smile at each other? That helps. I mean, just the general energy behind that can improve the world immensely. Stop frowning, start smiling. It's inexpensive, it's the best thing you can do for somebody and yourself.
I think that's another video.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, energy matters. Anything else you guys want to add about Ukraine?
Nothing else comes to mind that hasn't already been said. You know, I just keep looping back to, you know, oftentimes in life, we're presented with contrast, and if you sit on that contrast and think about that contrast and dwell on that contrast, nothing's going to change. And usually people don't like contrast, and they want the solution to experience the opposite of the contrast. And that's not going to be experienced if all you're doing is putting your energy towards the contrast. So it's going to take a shift in perspective from a lot of people in a situation where there's a war to solution bound, to getting back to that 0 point base of love, that 0 point base of good feeling. I know it's a very difficult thing to do when you're under duress, to say, I feel this, but I want to get back to feeling better or feeling fine, and even just feeling fine in the moment if you're in a safe place, in a room, in a building somewhere. But to help kind of reset your energy that then extends out in your aura and is felt by other people. You know, oftentimes when parents are put in perilous situations with children and the parent has the capacity to maintain their composure, the child doesn't pick up on the extremity, so to speak, of the situation because their parent's not freaking out, for example. So being that role model by example in these situations just says, you know what, I know what's going on is not good. It doesn't feel good to me. It doesn't feel right. I fear for my life. But I also have the ability to at least control some of my energy and my response to this. And by exuding some of that loving energy out, the people around you in turn can feel that, they could feed off of that and maybe start doing this for themselves as well.
Are you talking about those that are in the midst of it in Ukraine now? And because with that I also get if somebody just does not have the capacity to do that in the moment. But for those who can, you know, to extend that around them. Because I know it's really easy for us to say sitting here in the United States. But for those who can, and there are those who already are, because I've seen those interviews as well, where they are making the most of things, the best as they can. And God bless them, because we need all of us to rally around through that place of light within each one of us to help conquer this.
I guess my final thought on this whole thing is we are not helpless here. We watch the news every night. We see what's going on, and for me, I just look at it and say, I'm so helpless here. What can I do? There's a lot we can do, just through good intentions. You know, sending love, even to the people who are propagating this thing. Give what you can. You know, if you have an opportunity to give money or, you know, whatever you can do. You're not helpless here. We're all the collective. We can all do something.
I think about the NGOs, the non-governmental organizations that are collecting donated items and that as well. So, all right. Well, thank you all for watching our video about Ukraine. If you have any questions, please let us know. So,
And I think that's a wrap. We will see you in the next episode.
We can't wait.
bye.